All right, so when it comes to commercial leasing and really kind of releasing or renewing tenants, I look at it a couple different ways, probably a little bit different than most folks. And really what we're talking about specifically now is like 4,000 square feet and less, right? So when you start getting 5,000 square feet and greater, you start kind of pushing into the other party having a broker, and it's really more of a paper-based kind of a negotiation. They're evaluating other properties and whatnot. But if you're talking about kind of like 4,000 or 5,000 square feet and less, tenant's already in place and you're kind of working with the tenant. So you always want to go and evaluate what market rate is in relation to what they're paying and kind of figure out that gap. If the gap is too great, so if you've got a tenant that's paying well below market, or you buy a property and has a tenant well below market, well, you got to kind of figure that out and set expectations for the tenant early on and make it make sense to them on why their rate is, or kind of where their rate is in relation to market, and come up with a structure and determine, can they even afford market rate? So is it worth kind of pushing this forward, and do you want to have to re-tenant it, or do you want to work that deal out with that tenant? From that point, assuming you want to work it out and assuming they have the ability to pay a fair amount of increase, well, then what I typically do is kind of stair step it up over a longer term. Because if someone's paying $14 a foot and market's $20 a foot, getting that tenant up $8 a foot. So we typically kind of say, okay, over the next 3 to 4 years, we're going to stair step that up to get it to market and kind of look at it that way, and then evaluate with that tenant, assuming that's pretty open dialogue, do they want to take more of that hit initially, or do they want to spread it out evenly, or would they like to baby step into it maybe in year 1 with a bigger jump in year 2, 3, and 4 to kind of get it up to market over a 5-year term. So that's typically kind of how we look at it in that scenario. And then we evaluate, do we really want that tenant to stay? Also, what is the cost of re-tenanting that space, and evaluate it from that perspective.